Some of you may have had the pleasure of hearing Lorna speak when she came about 5 years ago to Halifax. But those who have not, it's a great honour to have one of Canada's leading women's natural health experts come right across the country to Halifax to share her knowledge and to provide invaluable information for women of all ages, and some men. Lorna has a degree in biochemistry and nutrition, lots of years of experience, and she's the author of 11 books, including A Smart Woman's Guide to Hormones and A Smart Woman's Guide to Weight Loss. In 2009, Lorna won the Canadian Health Food Association's most prestigious award, the Hall of Fame Award. And in 2011 and 12 and 13, Lorna was listed as one of Canada's top 100 female entrepreneurs. So without further ado, I ask you to welcome Lorna Vanderhaeghe.
Well, good evening, everybody. You guys can hear me back there, right? Okay, great. It's the beauty of taking speaker lessons. You know, they teach you how to project your voice even in a busy health food store. Thank you to Victoria and to the health food store for bringing me out here. I really appreciate it. And we were friends in Vancouver, so it's nice to come to this side of the country and help them. Tonight I'm going to teach you everything you should have learned about your hormones when you were 12. And if you would have learned this information when you were 12, then you wouldn't have developed things like endometriosis and ovarian cysts and breast lumps and period problems. Did you know we have the highest rates of hysterectomy in the world here in Canada? And did you know Halifax has the highest rates? And the number one reason for hysterectomy, that's where they remove your uterus, is heavy periods. And so tonight I'm going to talk to you about how we can fix that naturally. Very, very simply, actually. And if you were like most girls, somewhere around grade 6, they put the girls in one room and the boys in another room at school. They taught us about the birds and the bees and periods and pads, and we all left there very confused. Ask your husband about that class. They don't remember anything about it. And so I'm a mother of 7 as well. I've got 4 adult children and 3 teenagers at home. And so one of my kids came home from school, and you know, like every mother, you say, "What did you do today?" And they always say, "Nothing." And you wonder why you send them to school. But this day, one of my sons came home and I said, "What did you do today?" And he said, "We had sex ed class." And I said, "Really?" And I said, what did you learn?" I figured he couldn't have forgotten it already. He said, "We learned if you have a cold sore here, it can end up down there." That was his sole takeaway from sex ed class. So no wonder we have so much confusion, right? Anyways, let's talk about where our hormones come from, how to fix our hormone problems. I'm going to talk for about 1 hour and 10 minutes. And so in the first half, I'm going to talk about hormone problems. It's going to be the sole focus. Then I'm going to talk about skin, which is related to hormone problems. And then I'm going to talk about weight loss for a few slides, which is also related to hormone problems. So that's sort of how we're going to go tonight. So where do your hormones come from? The drug companies would love you to believe that the sole source of hormones in the body is the ovaries. Does that make any sense? In every woman, your ovaries are going to take a rest somewhere around age 52. We call it menopause. But you're supposed to live to be another 50 years. So do you really think this body is going to let you live without any hormones? No. And the other thing is, the highest rates of estrogen receptor positive cancers are in women over the age of 50. So if you're not making any more hormones, where did the hormones come from? So the fact of the matter is, you make hormones until you die. And that is because hormones are powerful messengers. So all of our male and female hormones in both men and women are made from cholesterol. And although cholesterol gets a really bad rap, you have to have adequate amounts of cholesterol in order to make your hormones. They have done a huge study in women. Over 58,000 women were in this study. And they researched what happens when they put women on cholesterol-lowering drugs. That's Lipitor, Mevacor, Zocor, and Crestor. And what they discovered is that women's risk of breast cancer skyrockets when they go on these cholesterol-lowering drugs. So if you are in the room on cholesterol-lowering drugs, or your mother or someone you love is on them, please make sure you get a copy of my 30-day Heart Smart solution so you can learn how to come off those cholesterol-lowering drugs, because They are disrupting your hormones and increasing your risk of breast cancer. And I'm sure if you were told that when you got the drug, you'd say, I'm not going to take that drug. I'm going to eat more vegetables, which would be the solution. So what makes the difference between the woman who hits menopause and she feels great? She can't figure out why her friends are fanning and flashing and crying and forgetting their keys because she feels wonderful. Well, the women who feel great at menopause have excellent functioning adrenal glands. These are two little glands. They sit on top of your kidneys, and they are your backup hormone system. So when your ovaries shut down, your adrenals are going to kick in and make your hormones for you. But if you've been going like the Duracell bunny during your 20s, 30s, and 40s, when you hit 50, those poor adrenals are going to be so tired that they don't make your hormones for you, and that is the women who have a nightmare menopause. So if you're a younger woman in the room, you better love your adrenals. And if you're already in menopause or beyond, we treat your adrenals using adrenal support nutrients. And we're going to talk more about the adrenals because they are so important to hormone balancing. Your thyroid. Your thyroid sits wrapped around your windpipe. It is the master conductor of all of your hormones. We have an epidemic of low thyroid, and we have 23% of the population already taking thyroid medication. Thanks. We have another 30% of people walking around with low thyroid that have yet to be diagnosed. Why? Because the blood test is inadequate. So I'm going to tell you what to ask for when you go to the doctor's office so you can learn about how to get your thyroid tested properly. Your digestive tract, that's your gut. Everything from your mouth to your butt is involved in hormone detoxification. The reason why we tell every single woman to take a probiotic is to make sure that her hormones stay balanced. So if you have gas, burping, bloating, constipation, or diarrhea, you will have hormone problems. As well as if we look at your liver is the sentinel organ for hormone function. Your liver decides if your healthy estrogen is going to turn into cancer-causing estrogen. Your liver decides if your progesterone is going to become estrogen. And so it's very, very important that you take care of your liver. So if you're drinking too much wine and popping too many Advil, then your liver will not be doing the job that it's supposed to be doing to keep your hormones balanced. So all of these things are interconnected in your hormone problems. Fat cells are the most dangerous hormone factories in the body. And when they start to get big, you produce tons and tons of estrogen. The reason why the Canadian Cancer Society tells everyone to stay in a healthy weight range is to reduce the amount of estrogen that your fat cells are producing. So although we'd all love to fit into a size 6, we have to start thinking about losing weight as a way to reduce our risk of breast cancer. And considering that back in 1960, 1 in 20 women developed breast cancer, today it's 1 in 8. We are raising billions and billions of dollars for breast cancer research, yet when I talk to women, there's not a single woman who can tell me 3 or 4 things she can do to prevent breast cancer or reduce her risk of breast cancer. So we're not doing a very good job teaching women what they can do to improve their overall health. So on this list, you'll see the ovaries are at the bottom. The reason why the ovaries are at the bottom is because in every single woman, they're going to take a much needed rest at menopause, or they may be removed during a hysterectomy. You need your ovaries if you want to have a baby. And the interesting thing is that the ovaries have little receptors on them for thyroid hormone. So if you develop low thyroid, you develop a whole host of hormone problems because the thyroid tells the ovaries what to do. And we're going to talk about the thyroid, we're going to talk more about the adrenals, and we'll talk about how to solve all these problems. So what's a normal period? And if you're 75 in the room and haven't had periods for 15 years, this still pertains to you. The reason is because we all have daughters and we have granddaughters and we have other women. Our company motto is Women Helping Women. And so everything I tell you, I expect you to tell 5 people so that we can really change the way that women feel in the future, because I think a lot of us are feeling pretty bad. But if you look at periods, we count the days of a menstrual cycle. So day 1 is the first day of bleeding. In the first half of the cycle, estrogen rises. estrogen's job is to make your uterine lining nice and thick and juicy, so if an egg gets in there during ovulation, it has somewhere to live. Most women ovulate, that means popping out an egg, somewhere between day 10 and day 15. Very important date to note if you want to have a baby, because you only get 12 tries a year. Even more important date to note if you don't want to have a baby. In the second half of the cycle, progesterone rises. If you actually got pregnant, progesterone would rise 100-fold, and this is to keep you pregnant. If you didn't get pregnant, your progesterone will fall. That will signal the uterine lining to slough off, and you'll have another period. Your period should show up. You should not know it's coming. You shouldn't turn into a crazy person. You shouldn't put on 10 pounds of fluid. I can tell you right now, if a guy's testicles swelled up as much as our breasts do every month, they would have fixed the problem a long time ago. So periods should be effortless. They should last for 2, maybe 5 days tops. You should not be chained to your house, and you shouldn't need to take Advil. So they should be effortless. What about the women who get terrible heavy flooding periods? What's going on with them? In the first half of the cycle, when estrogen rises, it makes your uterine lining thicker. If you have too much estrogen, the lining gets thicker and thicker and thicker. And because you have too much estrogen, it's a very powerful hormone. It controls progesterone. So progesterone doesn't kick in. Then when you finally do have a period, it's like the floodgates open, and it's like you're passing these big slabs of liver, they call them clots. 2 of those in a row, and you become anemic. As soon as you become anemic, you bleed more. So you end up in a vicious cycle. Once you're anemic, your hair falls out, your fingernails peel, you feel pretty crappy. And this is the leading reason for hysterectomy, is heavy periods. What about and we have a solution. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about the solution in a minute. What about the women who get terrible migraines right before their menstrual cycle? In those women, what's happening is their progesterone is falling too far too fast. And so what we do for those women is we give them a herb called Vitex to bring their progesterone levels up naturally. In women who have really severe migraines, we give them bioidentical progesterone called Prometrium. And we can solve those problems very, very quickly. So that's what a normal menstrual cycle is. It should show up every 21 days, maybe every 28 days. Does it the same every month. Period problems are the earliest warning sign your hormones are out of balance. So if you don't fix the period problems, the next thing you get is endometriosis and cysts and fibroids and all those other problems. Unfortunately today, our doctors use the birth control pill for everything except for contraception. And if the doctor tells you that the birth control pill will regulate your periods, it's not possible. The birth control pill is full of synthetic hormones. The only reason why you bleed is because you stopped the pill. There is nothing natural about it. There is no regulating periods. If you had period problems before you went on the pill, you will have them still when you come off, and much, much worse. So be very aware of that. And women always say to me, "It's okay, Lorna, I'm on the low-dose birth control pill." And I say, lower dose than what? Well, it was lower dose than it was in the 50s, but the low-dose estrogen birth control pill contains 7 times the amount of estrogen that we give to postmenopausal women. So there is absolutely nothing low-dose about the birth control pill. And I could probably do a whole talk on the dangers of the pill. Then we have estrogens in our environment, and these you have control over. So you're here in the store, they sell lots of organic everything. The biggest dose of estrogen that you get every day is from foods that are sprayed with pesticides. Pesticides fit right into your estrogen receptor and turn on the estrogen, just like estrogen made by your body. And we have a whole host of other things. Dark hair dyes, parabens. Think about what you do every day as a woman. You jump in the shower, you use shampoo, conditioner, gels, scrubs, shaving creams. You get out of the shower, you don't want to wrinkle, so you coat yourself from head to toe with cream. You put on foundation, blush, mascara, eyeliner. You spritz mousse gel your hair. You coat your armpits with deodorant. And then you spray on your perfume. And by the time you leave the bathroom in the morning, you are totally toxic. And remember, the skin is a great delivery system. We use the skin to deliver drugs, And so if you're putting things on your skin, you better know what's in them. And you need to read the labels. If they say methylparaben, propylparaben, these are highly estrogenic ingredients, and they increase your estrogen load. So this is the reason why you want to come to a store like this and buy naturally preserved cosmetic shampoos. Go to this great website. It's by the Environmental Working Group. So if you go in and you type in Skin Deep in Google, you will get the Environmental Working Group's website, where they have listed every single shampoo, conditioner, mouthwash, toothpaste, everything we use, as to how hormone disrupting it is. And it will be like, oh my goodness, you'll start reading all of the things that you use that are disrupting your hormones. Then we have farmed fish, which is highly estrogenic. The word Atlantic salmon is the code name for farmed salmon. So be aware of that. It has lots of estrogen. Commercially produced milk as well as meat products are high in estrogen, and the meat's also high in synthetic testosterone. A good reason to buy wild, free range, and organic wherever you can. When it comes to dairy products, it's one thing I truly recommend that you buy organic milk, because the alternative is lots of hormones and other bad things in the dairy products. Coffee raises estradiol. Alcohol raises estradiol. Estradiol is a very powerful estrogen. The D in estradiol stands for danger. You don't want to have lots of it. And soy products. This is always a shock to people, but they finally did a study in women where they had them drink 1 8-ounce glass of soy milk, and then they tested their estradiol in saliva, which is the only true way to get a good read on what's going on with estrogen levels in the body. And it's quite shocking what they found out. They found that on average, the women's estradiol went up 380%. Now remember, I told you that estrogen's job is to make cells grow. So when we think about abnormal cell growth, we think cancers. But think about all the other kinds of abnormal cell growth that's not a cancer. Breast lumps, fibroids, polyps, ovarian cysts. So this is a really scary thing, because it's something that we classify as a food, and yet it is severely hormone disrupting. So if you're a woman in the room and you're consuming a lot of soy products, switch to something else. And thankfully they have lots of alternatives, from coconut milk to rice dream to almond milk, and so you don't have to continue to consume soy products. So by now you figured out that you're probably estrogen overloaded. They found out that North American women have lots and lots of estrogen because we're getting it from the environment, we're making it from our body. The more stressed you are, the more estrogen you make. When you have too much estrogen, cells grow out of control. And when you were a teenager and your estrogen started to surge, you got these great curves that we all loved. But then if you get too much estrogen, you turn into an apple, and you get this belly fat that you just can't budge. And when you become estrogen dominant, you get conditions like endometriosis, uterine fibroids, uterine polyps, heavy periods, ovarian cysts, breast lumps. These are all signs that you have too much estrogen. And we don't ever do blood tests for estrogen. The doctor won't do them because they don't tell us anything. So the estrogen blood test is quite useless. You get severe PMS, horrible cellulite. You know, this is the women in their 40s who wake up one day and their whole body is covered in cellulite. That's because you've got too much estrogen in the body. And so too much estrogen is not a good thing. These abnormal pap smears that women are getting are associated with that as well. Dr. Geraldine Pryor, who's a physician in Vancouver, has been talking about the fact that women are estrogen overloaded well into their 80s. Makes sense. We have the highest rates of estrogen receptor positive cancers in women over the age of 50. Obviously, the estrogens are coming from somewhere. And why do I care about this? Well, about 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with uterine fibroids. They cause terrible, heavy flooding periods where you're chained to your house every month for a week. And I went to a regular GP who did an ultrasound, and then they sent me to a gynecologist. And the gynecologist said to me, "You know, Lorna, you've already had all your kids. why don't we just take it all out? I said, well, you know, I'd really like to go to the grave with my uterus intact as long as I don't have cancer. And she said, well, we have a second option. We can give you lots of estradiol to thicken your uterine lining, and then we can microwave it off. They call that microwave ablation. And I reminded her that I have a family history of estrogen receptor positive breast cancer and that I can't take estradiol, and she went, oh yeah. So I asked her, why are all these women getting things like fibroids and polyps and breast lumps and endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome? And she said, we're really not sure. And so I left her office on a mission to save my uterus and to be able to go out of the house every month, because at that point my periods were so heavy I never left the house during a menstrual cycle. And I started doing research into what was causing all this estrogen that was causing the heavy periods, and learned that there are about 8 key nutrients that have dozens and dozens of clinical studies showing they can bring estrogen back into the normal range, bring progesterone levels up, and stop all this abnormal cell growth. And so I developed a product for myself called EstroSmart. I started taking 4 capsules a day. I also cut out all the estrogenic foods that we eat. And within 2 menstrual cycles, I could leave my house again. A year later, I went back to the gynecologist, had an ultrasound, and my fibroids had shrunk by 12%. And she didn't believe it, so she sent me to BC Women's Hospital to have another ultrasound, which confirmed that they shrunk by 12%. I kept taking 4 capsules of EstroSmart every day, and by year 4, my fibroids had shrunk by 39%. Do you think at any point the gynecologist asked me what I was doing? No, she would have far rather done the hysterectomy. The funny story is she actually was at one of my talks in Vancouver not too long ago, and she was sitting in the back, and I always tell the story in every one of my talks, and she was cowering. And at the end she came up to me and said, thank goodness you didn't mention my name. And I said, oh no, I'd never do that, but I have never recommended any woman go see her, that's for sure. So anyways, through all of this, I've learned that there are a lot of other things that EstroSmart does. So if you think about your teenagers with the terrible acne, what's going on with them is because of all the environmental hormones, when they go to ovulate, they're not popping out an egg. And when you don't ovulate properly, you get tons and tons of acne. And so the doctors are putting our teenagers on the birth control pill to stop them from ovulating altogether to get their acne to go away. But today we have a big problem. We're putting 14-year-olds on the pill for acne. They're not coming off until they're 30, and they can't get pregnant. They aren't getting their periods back properly, because if we shut off ovulation on teenagers, then the body doesn't learn how to do it properly. So what happens again around 40-something, you start to notice that you're getting acne again. This is because as you head towards menopause, some months you may not ovulate. In the months you don't ovulate, you get acne. I always think it's so unfair that here you are, 45 years old, dealing with the wrinkle cream around the acne medication. The nice thing about EstroSmart is that it puts acne into remission, and it does it very quickly within 2 menstrual cycles. We also have a natural health product license for lots of other claims, things such as reversing abnormal pap smears, for halting your body from converting your healthy estrogen into the cancer-causing estrogen, which has a great big long name, 16-alpha-hydroxyestrone. That's the cancer-causing estrogen. It also is for women who have HPV to keep their cervical cells healthy. EstroSmart is truly for every woman from the time she turns 12 until she dies. And when I was talking about the breast cancer rates, every ingredient in EstroSmart has been clinically researched to stop abnormal cell growth in the breast. And we have some women who can't take drugs like raloxifene and tamoxifen for their breast cancer, and their oncologists have them on high doses of EstroSmart. So here's some of the dosages. Although our literature, our little Smart Solutions booklet that we gave everybody is full of all the dosages, this is just to give you an overview. So if you're someone with heavy periods, you would want to take 4 EstroSmart a day. So if anybody's in the room who has the heavy, flooding, nasty periods, there's a few things you use to put that completely under control. One is EstroSmart. The other one is shepherd's purse tincture, which you take at the beginning of bleeding. and our bone booster product, which contains vitamin K2, MK7, which works for the women who get the big clotting periods. And remember, if you have heavy periods, you have to take iron, because 2 heavy periods in a row and you're anemic, and then you bleed more. So it literally causes this vicious cycle to occur. So EstroSmart is for lots of different female health conditions, and the little booklet will tell you how to use it. What about symptoms of menopause? We get a lot of confusion about menopause. The word menopause means 1 year with no menstrual cycle. The 10 years before that is called perimenopause, and everything after the 1 year with no periods is called postmenopause. So now you know where you sit in the room. You don't have to have a test to find out if you're in menopause. Once your periods stop and they're gone for a year, you're menopausal. And so the problem is that a lot of the things that we think are menopausal symptoms have absolutely nothing to do with menopause, and a lot to do with your thyroid, and a lot to do with your adrenal glands. So for example, the type of insomnia where you fall asleep fine, but you wake up several hours later wide awake at 3 in the morning, and you can't fall back to sleep till 4:30, and you're exhausted the next day. That is the classic sign of adrenal exhaustion. That's the woman who's doing too much for everyone else and not enough for herself. Women who are still getting regular periods, who get night sweats, that is the classic sign of low thyroid. So all of these symptoms that I've got here on the screen, and I'll read them off, these could be menopausal symptoms. Things like memory loss, brain fog, insomnia, night sweats, mood swings, no sex drive, weight gain, water retention, urinary incontinence, that's where you laugh, cough, sneeze, you pee, depression, angry outbursts. By the way, not every woman gets hot flashes and night sweats. A lot of women get all the psychiatric symptoms, things like anxiety and depression and panic attacks and mood swings. Let's pray you never get all of these symptoms, because that would just be awful. Yeah. I'm going to teach you why you're getting a lot of these symptoms, because it's not just menopause. That's the good news. Menopause should only last about 18 months, by the way. If you are still getting hot flashes and night sweats 5-10 years later, that's low thyroid. So we're going to talk about thyroid first. And your thyroid sits wrapped around your windpipe. It is the master conductor of all of your hormones in the body. Your thyroid determines if you're going to be happy, sad, depressed. Your thyroid determines your heart rate. So if you're feeling your heart beating in your throat or your chest, it could be thyroid. Your thyroid determines how quickly food moves through your digestive tract. So if you're constipated and nothing works to get rid of it, it's guaranteed low thyroid. Your thyroid determines your body temperature, how much you're going to weigh. Your thyroid determines if you're going to get pregnant or stay pregnant. And I'm going to talk about that because a lot of women are going to fertility treatments here in Canada that really need to get their thyroid back into balance. Your thyroid also manufactures cholesterol. And so I think our doctors have forgotten this. This is like first-year medicine that, you know, if a woman walks in and she's depressed and sad and having panic attacks, the first thing I'd look at is her thyroid. So the symptoms of low thyroid: you've lost 1/3 of your eyebrows and you know you didn't pluck them out. You're losing hair on the top of your head. You're freezing cold all the time. You've gained weight and you cannot budget. You can starve and run on the treadmill every day and it doesn't go anywhere. Constipation, dry skin, never-ending hot flashes and night sweats. You know, that's the aunt who comes to Christmas dinner 10 years later who's still sweating. We all have one of those. It could very well be her thyroid. Recurring miscarriages, infertility. This is another really big sign of low thyroid. The problem we have is our blood test. So when you go to the doctor's office, I'll give you a little hint. Every time you get any kind of testing done, you ask for a copy of your test results. You put them in your home health medical file. And you should have your thyroid tested every year. I do mine every year in January. I've done it every year in January since I was 29. I can tell you where my thyroid is at almost my entire life. And the problem we have is the blood test is the range of normal is too broad. So when you go to get tested, the range of normal is 0.5 to 5.5. In order to be diagnosed with low thyroid, you would have to be above 5.5. A 6, a 7, an 11, a 27. Your doctor will not give you thyroid hormone until you are above 5.5. So this is always confusing to people. The higher your number, the lower your thyroid. So remember that. And in the little Smart Solutions booklet under thyroid, you will see this information about the test, because I never want you to forget the next number. We know that as soon as your thyroid is above 2, you will have problems. By the time you finally hit 5.5, you've packed on 20 pounds, your hair is falling out, you've got no libido, you'd rather be taking out the garbage. You have got dry skin, you're aging faster than your friends, you just feel like you're pushing yourself through the day. It's a really awful feeling when you have low thyroid. And most women will go to the doctor and say, I think it's my thyroid. And, you know, they're overweight, their hair is falling out, their skin is dry, they've got no sex drive, and the doctor's looking at the piece of paper in front of them saying, nope, your thyroid is normal. You need to never listen to the words normal. You want to say, what is my number? You want your TSH to be below 2. That is the secret number. When your TSH is below 2, you will not be overweight, you'll have energy, you'll just feel like $1,000,000. As soon as it starts to go up over 2, that's when you start to get symptoms. And I'll give you another hint about fertility. In the US, if you went to a fertility clinic, they would not even start fertility treatments on you unless your TSH was below 2. In this country, they will take your money even if your TSH is at 5. All the fertility journals tell you if your TSH is above 2, you will have miscarriages. So it is a very important number to remember. And so your doctor is not going to give you thyroid drugs until it is above 5.5. If you were in the US, they give you drugs when it's above 2, but here they don't. And so what do you do between the point where your thyroid is getting higher but not bad enough to get drugs? We have a Health Canada approved thyroid supplement called ThyroSmart that elevates T4 and most importantly improves the conversion of your T4 thyroid into the more potent T3. And it is so safe that you will never go hyperthyroid from it, and this is the reason why we have a Health Canada claim for supporting thyroid. What about the women in the room already on thyroid medication? Maybe you're taking Synthroid, levothyroxine. That is T4 thyroid hormone. When you first went on your thyroid, you probably felt pretty good. But then over time, your symptoms started to come back. What did the doctor do? Increase the dose. Did you feel better? No. The reason why you don't feel better is because when you take Synthroid and levothyroxine, after a while, you stop converting T4 to T3. And you need T3. So giving you more T4 does not solve the problem. So what we do for you is you stay on your thyroid medicine. You take it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, because that's when the thyroid likes you to take it. And then you take 2 ThyroSmart at breakfast, which will get you converting T4 to T3. And then all those symptoms I showed you on the previous slide will start to disappear. We also need to eat protein for breakfast. Your thyroid loves protein. And if you want to be thin or slim or in a healthy weight range, you want to start your day with protein, protein, protein. So a chicken breast, an egg, protein shake, protein powder, and yogurt. If you're truly in love with oatmeal, you could always put a scoop of protein powder in your oatmeal. But the classic fruit, skim milk, toast, cereal breakfast is the breakfast of an overweight woman. Does not give us the energy, and it does not help your thyroid. If you get x-rays, even at the dentist's office, you make sure that they pull that x-ray cover right up under your chin. If you get a mammogram, the same thing. Make them pull it out of the drawer and actually use it to cover up your thyroid. No fluoride, which means no fluoridated toothpaste and no fluoridated mouthwash, because it blocks your thyroid, and no soy. So those are all the things you do to love your thyroid, because we need to have a healthy functioning thyroid gland to take us through our entire life. Stress. I think we're doing too much. And Victoria and I were commiserating about our doing too much, because we do too much. And when you're that type A woman who wants to do it all, your estrogen goes up, your cortisol goes skyrocketing, it changes the shape of our fat cells around our belly, which is not a good thing. And all of this stress is going to hurt our adrenal glands, which we need when our hormones shut down from our ovaries. So those adrenal glands are key to keeping your hormones balanced. So what are the symptoms of adrenal exhaustion? You fall asleep fine, but you wake up several hours later wide awake. Can't fall back to sleep. You have crying jags. All of a sudden, everything bugs you. Like little things that should not bother you become a really big deal. Like, you know, the way your husband chews food at dinner is now flat out annoying. Like just the little dumb things that shouldn't be a problem. You have salt cravings, sugar cravings, caffeine cravings. You know, the difficulty handling stress is a big one. You used to be able to have a couple of glasses of wine, but now you get drunk on one. It's called alcohol intolerance. And this is all associated with the adrenal glands, but you know, we really need to love these adrenals because they are your backup hormone system. Our doctors do not believe in adrenal exhaustion. They only believe in complete adrenal failure in the form of Cushing's syndrome or Addison's disease. If you look at the symptoms of Cushing's syndrome, they are every single hormone symptom I've talked about. And women who have exhausted adrenals have the worst menopause on the planet. And so this is a way to take better care of your adrenals so you don't have a horrible menopause. If you're in menopause, and you know the good news is, the adrenals are easy to fix. The thyroid, no. If once it's low, you're pretty much stuck on thyroid hormone. But the adrenals we can fix very quickly by what? De-stressing our life, lots of deep breathing exercises because they actually bring cortisol levels down. Saying no, which is probably the most important thing. You know, I was that crazy mother, the one everyone hated, who used to bring the little girl gingerbread cookie with kids' names on them and the little boy gingerbread cookie. I would spend, 4 nights up painting them all with decorations. My kids don't remember any of that. I have to show them photos. Remember this birthday cake I spent 3 days making for you? They remember nothing before age 5, not a thing. All those things you stressed out about, they don't remember. So half of the stuff we do it for ourselves, and we are stressing ourselves out. So you need to sleep more, you need to say no, you need to eat lots of vegetables. These are all the good things. Take a great multivitamin with minerals. Nobody's going to do that because you're all driving your son to hockey at 5 a.m. and doing laundry at 11 o'clock at night. And that's why we have nutritional supplements to support us so that we can keep going like the Duracell bunny and take nutrients. But I mean, ultimately, at some point, if you burn out your adrenals, that's when you can't get out of bed. That's when the body says no, and you're feeling pretty rough by then. So take care of your adrenals. Let's talk about hormone replacement therapy. So back in 2002, there was a big front page news. You may remember the Women's Health Initiative study was halted. This was a huge clinical trial. They had over 15,000 women in this study. They were giving these women Premarin and Provera, which is synthetic estrogen and synthetic progestins. And they were supposed to go for 8 years in the study, but at the 5-year mark, they halted the study because they found things like increased rates of breast cancer, aggressive breast cancer. They found heart attacks, strokes, dementia, blood clots, Alzheimer's increase. They found that it made women's breasts so dense they could not read breast cancer on a mammogram. And so they halted the study, and you saw the front page news, HRT causes cancer. What nobody said is that literally millions of women died treating menopause symptoms. We have to remember, menopause is this transition. It's not a disease, it's just a transition. It's like when you were a teenager and your period started. That was the transition. periods ending is a transition. It's not a disease. We have let the doctors treat menopause as if it is a disease. And trust me, I agree that, you know, when you're having hot flashes and insomnia and you feel like a crazy person, it might feel like a disease, but it is not. And the sad fact is, millions of women have died taking Premarin and Provera, and millions of women will continue to die because they're still prescribing Premarin and Provera. I can tell you, if one nutritional supplement caused even one of those side effects, it would be removed off the market. So we never use synthetic hormones. We don't have to use synthetic Premarin and Provera or synthetic estradiol because we have much better options, and I'm going to talk to you about what we can do for menopause. So after the Women's Health Initiative study, this slide comes right out of the Canadian Medical Association Journal. The blue line is the number of prescriptions written for hormone replacement therapy. And you see the peak and then the drop. That's when the Women's Health Initiative study information came out, and women threw their hormones in the garbage. A lot of good doctors called their patients and said, stop taking them. A really bad thing happened. Our doctors didn't know what to do with all these hot flashing, fanning women. And by the way, you never stop your hormones cold turkey because you're thrown into the worst menopause symptoms you could ever experience in your life. But what happened was, because our doctors didn't know what to do with all these women, they started prescribing antidepressants in record numbers, like the yellow spike. And the Canadian Medical Association was worried about this. That's why they published this article. And just so you know, a lot of the antidepressants can cause up to a 60-pound weight gain in a matter of weeks. Very hard to come off them, very hard. You have to wean off them slowly. I can tell you, if your doctor said to you, I'm going to give you this prescription for X antidepressant, they're taping it, so I won't say bad things about the names, and it's going to cause 60 pounds of weight gain, you wouldn't take it. You absolutely would not. And so if you want to get off your antidepressants, because now we have, you know, a lot of women on them, I think it's like a third, we have a great audio program on our website called How to Get Off Antidepressants. And it teaches you how to use our product Smile, which is an enteric-coated 5-HTP. And you use this product to slowly, as you slowly decrease your dose of antidepressant, you increase your dose of Smile. For people who are not on antidepressants, who have anxiety, panic attacks, severe mood swings, you could use Smile every day. And I would take it at bedtime because it helps you sleep as well. This is a terrible problem, though. We've gone from one set of drugs to another set of drugs to treat hot flashes and night sweats, which, remember, is a natural process. So what do we do for menopause? So if, and I'll say if you are getting hot flashes and night sweats, then, oh yeah, I should talk about the food stuff first. You should eat lots and lots of cruciferous vegetables. So that's broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, and kale. These are the vegetables that help to balance your hormones and detoxify dangerous estrogens. They found that women who have 2 orgasms a week have less thinning of the vaginal wall, less prolapsed uterus, that's when the uterus falls in the vagina, less prolapsed bladder, that's when the bladder falls in the vagina, and they are happier. So there's actually benefits to it. We have to remember that the wall of the vagina holds everything up. It's like a structure, and so we need to take care of it. Make sure your thyroid stimulating hormone is below 2. Remember, the most important number you learn tonight is your thyroid number has to be below 2. If it is above 2, you will have the never-ending menopause. That's the 5 years, 7 years of hot flashes, which none of us, 8 years, yes. Yeah, it's bad, I know. So if you're getting hot flashes and night sweats, you want to take MenoSmart Plus. This stops hot flashes and night sweats. You take 2 at breakfast and 2 at bedtime. You take the bedtime dose to stop the night sweats. And of course, you want to support your adrenal glands. The more good things you do for yourself, you know, you could probably have a family meeting and tell everyone, hey, I'm in menopause. and it's all about me. And if it's all about me for the next, 18 months, this is going to go easy. But if it's not about me, this could be a really big problem. So, but MenoSmart Plus works very, very well. It's a fast-acting hot flash formula. It does not contain any hormones. So it works on your temperature gauge. So it turns down that temperature gauge to get your hot flashes and night sweats under control. And you want to eat protein and green veggies and healthy fats. And the more good things you do for yourself, the more effortless menopause will be. If you have vaginal dryness, thinning of the vaginal wall, urinary incontinence, painful intercourse, there's two options here. We have a personal lubricant called Love, which feels exactly like your vaginal secretions. It has no parabens and alcohol and bad stuff in it. It doesn't stain anything. It isn't sticky. Actually, my husband said, how did you make it just like the real thing, Because it is just like the real thing. And that's a funny story all into itself. I had these 3 male helpers, scientists, who I had to explain to them what I wanted, but we eventually got there after lots of practice. What about hormones? The doctors keep prescribing Vagifem, Premarin cream, and estradiol for vaginal dryness and thinning of the vaginal wall. Never, never, never use that stuff. If you go to the Vagifem and the Premarin website, they have a big black box warning telling you that these hormones cause cancer. And so why do you want to use something that causes cancer? You don't have to, by the way, because we have the safest estrogen, which is called estriol. And up here is the prescription for estriol. You can start writing it down. And in our menopause book, which is right here, which you can get a copy of, it's free. It's not the Smart Solutions booklet, so on your way out, get it. We have all the prescriptions for the bioidentical hormones. We also have them in my hormone book. So estriol is the only safe estrogen. It is made by your body when you're pregnant to protect your baby against the bad estrogens. Estriol is so safe, they've done 9 clinical trials for urinary incontinence. That's when you laugh, cough, sneeze, you pee. With 80% of the women cured. 80%. I mean, the Depends manufacturers don't want you to know that information. It is so safe, they did 18 clinical trials for wrinkles, and they also found that it reversed male facial hair growth. So if you're getting whiskers on your upper lip and your chin, you can use a little bit of your estriol down there and put some all around your mouth. I use it around my eyes as well for the little wrinkles. It is wonderful. It will never cause cancer. They've done enough research now. They know it can't raise blood levels of estrogen. It is super, super safe. It is a prescription drug. Your doctor probably won't know how to write that prescription. So if you want it, you should write it down. And do not tell them you're going to use it for your wrinkles. You have to tell them it's for vaginal dryness. And guess what? They're so busy they won't even look. But if you're on Vagifem, Premarin cream, or estradiol cream, remember at the beginning of the talk I said estradiol has a D in it for danger. Premarin cream contains estradiol. Vagifem contains estradiol. Say no. Stop using it and go get estriol, which is safe. And then you can use our Love personal lubricant as well. Insomnia. If you have insomnia, this is the only slide you care about. You need to take a photo of it, because insomnia, they have found that women who have chronic insomnia have higher rates of Alzheimer's disease. They have also found that women with chronic insomnia get elevated blood pressure. I could never figure out why I'd meet all these women who were fit, but they had this super high blood pressure. And then I started researching about blood pressure and insomnia. And so if you have chronic insomnia, your body cannot repair and regenerate, plus you feel horrible. I had insomnia for like 3 days. It gave me huge respect for women who have been battling this for years and years and years. So if you have insomnia, most of your other problems are probably associated with your insomnia, and that's why you really should look at what we can do to fix it. So the first thing is your bedroom has to be pitch black. No night lights on, no light, no clocks flashing in your face. You need to also stop reading on your iPad and Kindle at bedtime. That shoots bright white light into your eyes and tells your brain it's daytime, not nighttime. The pitch black room will tell your brain to secrete melatonin. If your room is not pitch black, then you will not secrete melatonin and you won't sleep. I already talked about the kind of insomnia where you fall asleep fine, but you wake up in the middle of the night. For that type of insomnia, you need Adrenasmart, and you take it at lunchtime. And the reason why you take it at lunchtime is to bring your nighttime cortisol levels down. I love melatonin. I've been taking melatonin since I was 20. Do you know the reason why we can sell melatonin in Canada today? Is because Children's Hospital in Vancouver was doing research in kids, giving them 20 and 30 milligrams of melatonin at bedtime, because kids need a lot more than adults do, with no side effects, long term. So we give melatonin to adults in like 3 milligrams. We have Sleep Smart, which also has herbs in it to knock you out and keep you asleep. And some people who go to bed have the restless legs, and you can't stop thinking. You get the leg cramps. You need magnesium bisglycinate. And tonight when you walked in here, we had samples so you could try it. I suggest you make sure you try the magnesium bisglycinate before you go, and you take a scoop of that at bedtime. That also calms things down. For the women who did not get insomnia until they were postmenopausal, you may need Prometrium. Prometrium is bioidentical, natural progesterone. It is a prescription drug. I have it on the screen here so you can write it down. Never let them prescribe Provera. Provera is synthetic progestins, has nothing to do with progesterone. Progesterone cream will not make you sleep. It has no sleep-inducing effect whatsoever, but when you swallow natural bioidentical progesterone, it makes you very sleepy. When I wrote my book, A Smart Woman's Guide to Hormones, I took every hormone in the book. I took them because I wanted to be able to tell you what you feel like after you take them. And so when I had Prometrium, I took 200 milligrams of it at 11 o'clock in the morning. I failed to read the instructions, which very clearly say at bedtime. And literally 20 minutes later, I was crawling to bed. I was so tired. So some people just need Sleep Smart. Some people just need the Mag Smart. Some people need Adrenasmart. Some people need it all. What is the goal? Deep, restful sleep. That is the goal. So if you're not getting that, then forget anything else I've talked about, because your sole focus should be on getting to sleep and staying asleep. And don't exercise at night. Women with chronic insomnia cannot exercise in the evening. It causes their cortisol to go up. And no coffee after lunch, no dark chocolate at bedtime, because that will keep you awake as well. So I have 3 slides on skin and 3 slides on weight loss, and then I'm going to take your questions. So like a lot of the things that I do, they come about because women like you write us letters and say, help me with this. Sometimes it's my girlfriends, and I've had the same friends since I was about 16, and we get together once in a while and have a wine night. And one of my girlfriends said, you need to help us with our skin. We're all starting to look like our mothers, and although we love our mothers, we don't want to look like our mothers yet. And so I started to look into skin because I was trying to figure out, why is it that our skin looks so bad after menopause? What is it that creates this dramatic change? And so I've written a new book called Beautiful Skin Begins Within, that talks about everything you can possibly imagine associated with skin. They're giving it away free tonight when you buy one of the skin products. But I learned a couple of really bad things. One, after menopause, we lose 30% of our collagen. Some women lose it right away. Other women lose it over the first few years. When a baby is born, they're 90% collagen. That's why they have this beautiful, smooth skin we all want to touch and feel. When you start to lose collagen, That's when we get the deep lines by our mouth and wrinkles, and our skin starts sagging, and our arms are heading down, our breasts are heading to our waist, everything is heading south. That's the loss of collagen. When you lose collagen in your skin, you are also losing collagen in your bones, which is the connection between menopause and bone loss. It's all about losing collagen. So we're going to talk about how to rebuild collagen. The other thing that happens after menopause that's so bad is that we can no longer make a very special fatty acid called GLA. And GLA is not found in fish oil, it is not found in flaxseed oil. The only human food to contain GLA is breast milk. After you've been breastfed, your body is supposed to make GLA. But in people who have eczema, dermatitis, rosacea, and psoriasis, they do not make GLA very well. And when we go through menopause, we stop making GLA. That is why our skin gets so dry and dull and flat looking. So I'm going to tell you where we can get GLA from. And skin cell turnover. This is another really bad one. You think of all those brown spots that you get, we call them age spots. Well, when a baby is little, their skin cells turn over every 1 to 1.5 weeks. But when you're over 50, it's 1.5 to 3 months. And that's why we get these dark spots. So how do we speed that up? You take vitamins A, C, E, selenium, and zinc. Where do you find those? In a great multivitamin with minerals. So we need to speed up that skin cell turnover from the inside. Women use exfoliants on the outside. You want to get your skin cells to turn over properly from the inside. So first we're going to talk about GLA. It is my favorite supplement. I was very lucky because I met somebody in my 20s who told me that the secret to beautiful skin is GLA. And so I've been taking it for a very, very long time. The reason why I got involved in nutritional medicine is because my oldest daughter, who's now 36, when I stopped breastfeeding her, she got head to toe eczema. The worst mess you've ever seen, and we went from pediatrician to pediatrician, skin specialist. I kept saying to them, don't you think it's her diet? Because after I stopped breastfeeding her, she got this horrible eczema. Oh no, it has nothing to do with diet. So I went into a health food store for the very first time in my life, and the woman in the store took one look at my baby and said, she has a GLA deficiency because you're no longer breastfeeding her. She's not getting it in her food. And so we put her on GLA, and her eczema cleared up in 3 weeks, and that was it. I became a complete convert and had to learn more about nutritional medicine. So GLA is found in breast milk. It is also found in the seeds of the borage plant. We can also get it from evening primrose oil, but evening primrose only has a tiny bit of GLA. And the other bad thing is because evening primrose seeds are so hard, they use hexane to extract it. So you get petrochemicals as a byproduct, which I don't like. So we use borage because borage grows in northern Canada. The seed can be cold pressed, so it's a wonderful natural product. And it gives you a high concentration of GLA, about 24%. If you have eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, or any of the dry skin problems, and anywhere where you have winters as bad as you do here, you definitely need GLA. In the United Kingdom, they don't wear the pink flower for breast cancer research. They wear the little blue borage flower because it has been heavily researched for women with breast cancer treatment and prevention. And it makes your skin absolutely lovely and glowing, and you are going to love it. So we have it in 2 forms. We have it in a liquid, and we have it in capsules. I love the liquid because you eat lots of it, and you can also apply it to the skin. And so I always recommend people do the GLA facelift, which is a 10-day treatment. You take 2 tablespoons a day for 10 days, then you go down to the maintenance dose. Your friends will ask you what you have done to your skin. It transforms your skin from the inside. And if you're over 50, it's the only way you're going to get GLA because you can't make it from your food any longer, which is why you get that dry, flat looking, and lots of redness and rashes to your skin. Men can take it as well. So The only product men can't take is Menosmart. So the one that has men in it is not for them. Have you noticed all the bad things that happen to us? Menstruation, menorrhagia, menopause. Some guy thought that was funny, by the way. But anyways, how do we rebuild collagen? So there's two ways to do it. So I'll talk about the vegetarian way first. And Collagen Plus contains 2 ingredients that have been researched to increase the collagen in your hair, because your hair is made up of 70% collagen. So it makes your hair thicker and stronger and less breakage. Collagen Plus makes your fingernails nice and hard. It is also the greatest bone building supplement on the planet. So most women take it for the beauty benefits, but it is beyond a doubt the best bone building supplement. It's been shown to increase bone density by 2% in 1 year based on DEXA scans. And far better than any calcium supplement will ever be able to do for you. The second way to build collagen is by taking, it's interesting because when my girlfriends sent me on the mission to find something for them, I went into the health food store looking what was on the shelf. And there were some collagen products, but one of the companies wouldn't even tell you where it came from. And later on I found out that a lot of the collagen products are coming from slaughterhouse waste. So boiled up cow and pig parts that they make into this gelatinous goo. Remember your moms used to take the gelatin capsules? That's boiled up cow parts. That's what they used to make those gelatin capsules. So I didn't like that, and I'm vegetarian, so it really wasn't going to work for me. The French in France have been doing amazing research using fish collagen. It doesn't smell like fish, it doesn't taste like fish, it actually tastes and smells like vanilla. And they did these great studies where they took women, they measured the depth of the crow's feet wrinkles at the side of their face, the elasticity. Have you ever pulled up the skin on the back of your granny's hand? It sort of stays there, right? When you have infants and you pull the skin up on the back of their hand, it bounces back so quick you don't even see it. That's called elasticity. And when you start to lose the elasticity, that's when our neck starts to go south. So they measured the elasticity, and they also measured the moisture content in the skin. And this was an 84-day study, and they had a group that got fake pills. So by day 28, they measured all this stuff again, and they found that the deep wrinkles were reduced by 20%. And by day 84, things like vaginal dryness improved because that's skin, and elasticity and moisture content also. And it continues to work the longer you take it. Because the research is so outstanding, Health Canada has allowed us to put on our label for the reduction of deep wrinkles. Not fine lines and wrinkles, but deep wrinkles. And I always tell women to take a photo of your face before you start so you have a reference. And I've been taking it now for about 3 years, and the backs of my hands are filling in. I was getting those old lady super thin hands where the bones protrude and the skin hangs between the bones. And they're filling in finally, which, you know, 2 things that show our age, our neck and our hands. So I'm really happy about that. It's a great product, and we're very happy to be able to offer it. Are you losing your hair? 2 reasons for hair loss. One is low thyroid. We've already talked about that. The other reason is low iron. And you do not have to be anemic to lose your hair. So you're still in the normal range for iron, but you're losing your hair. So we have this great little booklet that you can pick up at the end, and it talks all about iron, and it tells you the normal test range for iron. If ferritin, so your hair follicles on top of your head, those little holes that your hair grows out of, are full of ferritin. Ferritin is your iron storage. When ferritin declines, your hair falls out, it goes gray faster, it gets crunchy and dry, it doesn't hold the color and the curl well. And so you need a ferritin level of 70. When I had the heavy periods, my ferritin was 5. And my hair was falling out by the handful, and the doctors had no idea why. I couldn't believe how many doctors I said, "Why am I losing my hair?" "Oh, it's age." "Oh, you're under stress." Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with iron. And we should be getting 20 milligrams of iron from our diet every day. We're not. We're getting about 8 because people are no longer eating egg yolks and red meat. And so we've really reduced our consumption of animal products, which is the major source of iron in our diet. So we have an iron that is non-constipating. It raises ferritin within 3 months. It tastes like Werther's candy. And so I really recommend you taste it before you leave this evening. 2 more slides. These ones are on weight loss. So we did a survey of 78,000 women, and we asked them what their health concerns were in order of 1 to 5. The number 1 health concern was weight gain and belly fat. Number 2 was hormone problems, and number 3 was skin. Number 4 was pain and inflammation. So I always include these slides in my talks because I know there will be somebody that's really battling the belly fat, and that's what I call it. And when I was younger, I could eat anything I wanted. Never gained a pound. Then after 45, it was like you look at food and you put on weight. If I have a glass of wine, tomorrow I will put on 2 pounds. It's like, I call it the battle of the belly fat. And so I've been watching research that's being done, that good research, looking at weight loss and things like that. And at the Virginia Medical School for a decade, they were researching a product called Carositol for pre-diabetics, diabetics, women with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a pre-diabetic condition, as well as belly fat and weight gain. And one of the things that was being reported, so people's blood sugar and insulin was coming back into the normal range, but the reason why I got excited was that the women in the studies were reporting their belly fat was disappearing. And I can tell you that we can get great shaped arms and legs, but that belly fat seems to hang around forever. So I was really excited about this, but there was no product available because the university hadn't relinquished their product yet, or released their product yet. And so when it became available, we snatched it up, and it's in our product GlucoSmart, and it is our #1 selling product across the board and has been for 5 years straight. And generally weight loss products, they go like this, they go up and they drop right back down because they don't work. This product works like a charm, and it brings your blood sugar and insulin back into the normal range, so it's great for diabetics and pre-diabetics. We have 9 clinical studies for polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a terrible condition in young women where we're seeing them get big in the butt and the hips. They get male facial hair growth, acne, greasy hair, and infertility. And so if you have a daughter or a friend with that condition, please tell them about GlucoSmart. Tonight you get my weight loss book for free, which is a $25 value when you buy GlucoSmart, because we also need to eat protein, green veggies, and healthy fats. That's also the key to optimal health. This is a picture of skin tags. If you have 4 skin tags or more, you are already a pre-diabetic. We know that because they have done dozens of studies showing blood sugar and insulin levels and the number of skin tags you have. So if you have 4 or more, you are already a pre-diabetic, and they have now linked diabetes to Alzheimer's disease. So if you're a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, doctors don't tell people this, but you can reverse your diabetes by losing weight and changing the way you eat. You do not have to be a diabetic. GlucoSmart is safe to take with metformin, glucophage, insulin, and all the diabetic drugs as well. There's another great weight loss supplement that has tons of research. Why Dr. Oz does not talk about the ones that have a lot of human studies is really beyond me. But CLA is a fat that burns fat, and I love this product because they researched it in postmenopausal women, which are the hardest group to lose weight. And they found when they gave these women 5,000 milligrams of CLA, they lost 7 pounds in 90 days. That was with no diet change. So they told them to keep consuming food the way they normally would in order to prove that the supplement worked. And they've done 12 human studies now showing that CLA works. We have it in our protein powder. So when you came in tonight, Did we demo protein? Yes. We have our chocolate and vanilla protein powder for you to try on your way out. And my grandchildren, I have 8 grandchildren, my grandsons are the taste testers for our products. So if they like the taste of it, then we put it on the market. And this protein powder tastes absolutely yummy. This is my website, hormonehelp.com. There's 4,000 of pages of information on the website, lots of free books. One of the women before the talk asked me why we give away so many books. We give away books because we truly hope that you will read them and understand why you have the health condition you have, and that you will share them with other women. We have one book, Our Smart Woman's Guide to Hormones, that we sell. That's a Bible on hormones. You should have one. You should buy one for your doctor. And because honestly, if we bought one for our doctor, and I've actually seen women do this, and I always wonder what it's like the next day after I leave, and all these women go visit their doctors and hand them this pink book. But if they actually read the book, they would help our daughters and our granddaughters. And because we have a lot of work to do, I think a lot of women feel so crappy, they just don't know what it's like to feel good. And so I'm truly on a mission to help women feel better. And so go to the website. We also have audio programs on the website. We have lots and lots of information, and spend lots of time there learning things. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming out this evening. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.